Good morning, Rock Church family. I'm so glad that you decided to do Sunday school with me this morning. Now, as you can see, Rock Church is going to look a lot different today than it does most Sundays because we're not at the church. We are actually doing this from our living rooms. How cool is that? Now, because we're not together, I can't see you guys, but you can see me, which is just fine because we can still work together as a family. Now, I am going to be giving you guys lots of instructions. So the most important thing is that you listen very carefully to what I'm going to ask you to do. Now, I don't know what time you guys are going to be watching this video, but for me, it's snack time. So, the very first instruction that I have for you is that if it is snack time for you guys, now is the time to go and get our snacks. Now, it could be hot chocolate or a banana, cookies, a fruit roll-up. Really doesn't matter what we're going to get, but let's go get ourselves a snack. Now, I am going to put my video on pause, get my snack, and I want you guys to do the same thing. In about a minute, we're going to come back together and we are going to start our Rock Church. So if it is snack time for you, I want you to push pause and we're going to come back together in a little bit. So let's do it now. Before we take our offering, I want to share with you guys how much we have collected so far. So for the month of January and February and all the way up to this past week, March 22nd, we have collected $90.35. So yay, you guys are doing awesome. So thank you for all of your contributions so far. But because I have the offering jar here, you guys are not going to be able to put your offering into this jar. So we are going to do an activity together. So what I want you to do is I want you to go around your house, maybe looking in your room or asking your mom or dad if there is a container that you can use to put money in so that you can be collecting your offering at home while we are away from the Rock Church classroom. It can be anything from, let's see, I have a little container here that you can put money in. It has a lid. Or you could use a paper cup. That collects money. Or you could use a mason jar. That would work just as well. Or, let's see, you could even use a wooden box. So what I want you to do is go find something that will hold money and then come back. So I'm going to pause my video. I want you to do the same. Go look and then come back. Once you've decided what you're going to use for your container, we're just going to put a little bit of decoration on it. So you're going to have to go and collect a few things to put on your container. So what you're going to need is maybe, see if you can find a glue stick, or let's see, I have some markers here, some scissors. I found some stickers here that we can use. I found some more stickers that are here, and I also have different color pieces of paper. So we're going to go find some supplies to put on our containers. So that is what I want you to do next. So I am going to push pause. I want you to push pause too. Go find some supplies and then come back. This morning we are going to be wrapping up our Bible time with the fruit of the Spirit. For the last couple weeks we have been talking about all the different fruit of the Spirit and how the Spirit helps us to live those out in our lives. Now for the first couple weeks we learned how living out the fruit of the Spirit is kind of like a tug of war. Now, on one, we had our rope out. Remember our rope? And on one side of the rope was the Holy Spirit. And on the other side of the rope was the flesh or selfishness. And we learned that, for example, we were talking about love. And sometimes it's really, really easy to love the people that God puts in our lives. And the Holy Spirit is pulling in this direction. And the Holy Spirit is winning. But sometimes, maybe at school or something, we have a friend who isn't always nice to us. And yet, God still calls us to love that person. And we found, just like in a tug of war, the flesh or the selfishness says, hey, that guy didn't treat me so well. I'm finding it really hard to love him. And the flesh is pulling this way. And the flesh seems to be winning. And what we were learning in Rock Church is that God, because He lives in us, wants the Holy Spirit to be the one that is winning. So that means God equips us. That means He gives us the ability to make a good choice and to, even when it's hard, even when it's not easy to love someone, that He gives us the opportunity and the choice to do it anyway. And when we do it anyway, it's because we've chosen to live and to walk with the fruit of the Spirit in us, and to show other people that the Holy Spirit living inside of us is stronger than the selfishness that wants to pull us in the wrong direction. So that's what we're going to be continuing on today. Now, today we're going to do something totally different, though. I did not expect that we were going to be doing Rock Church from our living room. So I had found an awesome book that I was going to read to you. And I think I'm still going to try and do it anyway. So I want you guys to find a comfy, cozy spot. And I know it's going to be a little bit different because we're doing this through video, but I am still going to read this book about the fruit of the Spirit. So find your spot and listen closely. I live in the city where the sidewalks and subway cars and buildings and buses are packed with people. But I've never seen God before. Grandma, does God live in the city? I asked one morning at breakfast. Yes, God is here, she says. You just need to know where to look. Whenever you see love, joy, and peace, God is there, she says, stirring her tea. Wherever there's patience, kindness, and goodness, God is there too. When you see faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, that's God's Spirit at work. On the way to school, I'm on the lookout. I see a bus full of tourists and count 10 bright yellow taxis. I spy a man sweeping a stoop, and Grandma and I laugh when we see a tiny dog wearing a fluffy purple sweater. At school, Grandma hands me my lunch and hugs me close before she says goodbye. That's what love looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. On the swings, I pump so hard I see over the wall into the alley. My friends shout, higher, higher, as my feet fly way up into the sky. That's what joy looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. Outside, a car horns blast and sirens scream, but my classroom is quiet and calm. That's what peace looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. I try to tie my shoes, but the laces tangle around my fingers. My teacher sits down beside me and shows me how to tie them. That's what patience looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. On the way home, I see a doorman wearing a red cape and a hat with a shiny brim. He's holding the door for a man using a wheelchair. The man moves very slowly, and the doorman chats with him and smiles. That's what kindness looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. While I'm setting the table for dinner, there's a knock at the door. It's our neighbor from downstairs, bringing us a loaf of bread. It's golden brown and warm and wrapped in a thin white towel. That's what goodness looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. After dinner, I work on my homework while Grandma stands at the kitchen sink washing dishes and humming to herself, just like she does every single night. That's what patience looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. At bedtime, Grandma sits at the edge of my bed, singing me a lullaby and stroking my head. She tucks my blankets up close around me. That's what gentleness looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. I lie in bed watching the curtains flutter. I want to talk about that dog we saw today and how high I can swing. But Grandma says that once I'm tucked in, I have to stay in bed until morning. I close my eyes and try to fall asleep. That's what self-control looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. I saw God over and over again today. Whenever I saw love, joy, and peace, and wherever there was patience, kindness, and goodness. When I saw faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, I saw God's Spirit at work. I don't see God the way I see my friends or the streetlights or the river, but I see signs of God's Spirit all around me, right here in the city. I know what God is like. Maybe I can be like that too. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Galatians 5:22 and 23a. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed listening to the story as much as I enjoyed reading the story to you. Now, what I want you to remember about the fruit of the Spirit is that, like we have been learning in Sunday school, is that if Jesus lives in our heart, so does the Holy Spirit. And when it talks about the fruit of the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit lives in us, we can live all of that fruit out in our life. But it's a choice. We have to choose. Just like in our tug of war, the Holy Spirit will help us to live those things out. But the flesh sometimes says no, it wants to do the wrong thing. But because the Holy Spirit lives inside of us, we can choose to do the right thing. So that's what I want you to remember this morning, that the Holy Spirit gives us the strength to live love, to live joyfully, to be faithful, to be gentle, to be kind, to have self-control, all of those things that we have been learning about. Because the Holy Spirit lives in us, we can do those things. And hopefully, that is the choice that we will be making. So remember, when it's hard to love someone, do it anyway. When it's hard to be patient, do it anyway. And when we find it hard, ask the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit wants to help you to do all of those things that He has asked us to do. So you remember that this week, especially because you're home with your family, and sometimes you're going to have some bad days. But remember, you pray and you ask the Holy Spirit to help you when you're finding it hard to be kind or to be gentle or to be loving, because He wants to and He will. So I am so glad that you guys joined me here this morning for this Rock Church time. And I know it's been a lot different than what we're used to, but it's still been good. And I am so excited to come back here again next week and do it all over again. So you guys have a good day, have a good week, and I will see you next Sunday. Same time, same place, in your living room. Bye for now.